What was that all about? And then one day it hit me. What was my favorite thing to do in the whole world? Riding shotgun in the porch, sitting up high and wind pushing my face all out of shape, and sights and smells, especially smells, rushing by so fast I couldn't take them all in. Speed, rush, sensation. I knew about getting high. I've been high lots of times. Like now, for example, as we followed Cynthia Chambliss, mother of the possibly missing Madison, down our street. I saw things real quick, zooming by. A man taking out the trash. Was tomorrow trash day? Yes! I love trash day. My pal Iggy sipping from his bowl right inside his front door, turning a little too late, just missing seeing me, typical Iggy, and then...
Jeff, what are you barking about?
I barked. Oops. It must have been an Iggy. And then a white-tailed rabbit standing very still on someone's lawn. That white tail very white in the moonlight. Hair rose all down my back.
Chet, get down.
I got down. But I've chased rabbits in my time, let me tell you. And once, oh yes, it can be done.
What's with you now?
Nothing was with me, stoned out of my mind, that was all. I got my tongue back in my mouth, all dried up from the wind. It felt more like one of those towels I sometimes find on the laundry floor. I like burying those towels in the backyard near the big rock. And shoe strips, easy to bury, and whoa. At that moment, I had a very faint memory of burying one I hadn't dug up yet, near the orange tree by old man Haybridge's fence. Maybe it was still there. I was gazing up at the moon and making plans when we turned into a driveway and came to a stop behind Cynthia Chambliss's car. I hopped out. The pavement was still warm from the heat of the day. We followed Cynthia to the front door of a house that looked a lot like ours, but bigger. Cynthia turned to Bernie.
The dog is coming in?
Why not?
The skin on her forehead between the eyes got pinched up.
There's never been a dog inside.
Bernie smiled. He had lots of different smiles. This particular one I thought of as just showing teeth. I did the same. Bernie has nice teeth for a human, but I'm only being realistic when I say they're nothing compared to mine.
There's a good chance we'll be needing it, Miss Chambliss. Missing kids, that's Jet's specialty.
The pinched up look got extreme.
He looks too aggressive to be around kids.
Closing my mouth now was the right move. I knew that, of course, but for some reason it didn't close. Maybe even open wider. Plus I started to pant a bit, getting pretty charged up.
Never aggressive, not inappropriately.
Bernie patted my head. Thump, thump. I calmed down.
Chet's a trained police dog, after all.
He is?
Graduated first in his class at canine school.
That was stretching it a little, since I hadn't actually graduated, which is how Bernie and I ended up together. A long story, which I'll go into later if I have a chance. Cynthia opened the door. We went inside. Bird crap! I smelled it right off the bat. Sour and disagreeable, just like birds themselves. If I could glide around in the wide blue sky, would I be disagreeable? No way! We followed Cynthia through a big room with a tile floor that felt nice and cool, then down to a hall to a closed door. On the way, I spotted a potato chip, lying there in plain sight near the wall, and scarfed it up on the fly, ruffle style, my favorite. Bernie read a sign with a lightning bolt hanging on the door.
I will keep out.
That's Madison's sense of humor.
Cynthia said. She opened the door, we went in, and there was the bird, perched in a cage that dangled from the ceiling.
Chet.
Bernie spoke my name in the stretched-out way he used when concerned about what might be coming next. And sure, because of my leaping ability, I'd been the best leaper in canine class, which had led to all the trouble in a way I couldn't remember exactly, although blood was involved. But I wasn't about to find out now, was I? We were on the job. Thump, thump.
Good boy.
The bird, green with scaly yellow legs and feet and a weird spiky comb on top of his head, made a horrible croaking noise.
Hear that?
Asked Cynthia.
He said Madison rocks. He can say other things too.
Whoa. Cynthia was claiming that this beady-eyed inmate could talk? I didn't buy it.
His name is Captain Crunch.
Captain Crunch bobbed his head back and forth, an ugly lizard-like motion, and made that horrible croaking noise again. It ended in a high-pitched squeak that hurt my ears. One glance at Bernie, and I knew he wasn't hearing that squeak. Bernie missed some things, true, but you had to admire him. He never let his handicaps get him down.
What else can you say?
Oh, Bernie, please. Cynthia approached the cage.
Come on, baby.
Squawk, squawk.
Hear that?
What?
Light my fire. He said, light my fire when I said, come on, baby.
Right. But Bernie had one of those looks on his face, very still, eyes dark, meaning he was getting interested in something.
What else? Squawk, squawk. Make it a double?
You got it.
Said Cynthia.
Pretty impressive.
A bird that supposedly said, Madison rocks, light my fire, and make it a double? Impressive how? What was I missing?
Chet, what are you growling about?
I wasn't growling, but I sidled away all the same, sat down by the TV. It rested on a little table. At that moment, I smelled a smell familiar from my days in canine school, and there, under the table, a small plastic bag of marijuana. Bernie shot me a look.
For God's sake, Chet, stop barking.
He turned to Cynthia.
Does Madison talk much to the bird?
All the time. She's had him like forever. Really thinks he's human.
She gazed up at Captain Crunch.
Where's Madison?
When the bird remained silent, she added in a pleading tone.
Come on, baby.
Light my fire.
Said Captain Crunch. This time, I heard it myself. But if we were relying on eyewitness testimony from a bird, the case was hopeless.
Let's back up a little.
Bernie said.
I'd like to establish a chronology.
What's that?
I was curious too. Bernie used big words. If he had his choice, he'd probably spend every day with his nose in a book.
Timeline. When did you last see Madison?
Cynthia looked at her watch. It was big and gold. I licked gold a few times, didn't care for it, although silver was worse.
8:15, when I dropped her off at Heavenly Valley High. My ex is a developer up there.
Your ex is Madison's father?
That's right. We've been divorced for 5 years.
Did you call him?
Of course. He hasn't seen her. She spends some weekends with Damon every second Christmas, that sort of thing.
So she was about 10 at the time of the divorce?
Yes.
Well, how did you take it?
Cynthia raised her shoulders, lowered them.
Well, you know what they say. Divorce is better for kids than a bad marriage. But I don't see what any of this has to do with Madison's disappearance.
Her eyes got wet again.
God, where is she?
Bernie glanced around, spotted a box of tissues on the desk, gave her one.
When did you realize she might be missing?
When she didn't come home, she takes the bus.
She blew her nose, a tiny, useless thing. So different from mine, but I couldn't help wondering, what would it be like blowing it? All of a sudden, my nose got twitchy. Cynthia and Bernie went on for a while about the bus, calls she made to the school, Madison's friends, etc., but I wasn't really listening, caught up with all these strange feelings in my nose.
Why is he snarling like that?
More like wriggling his nose. Chet, you all right?
I gave myself a good shake and moved closer to Bernie, alert, tail high.
I've never seen a dog like that before.
Like what?
His ears, one's black and one's white.
Bad manners! Commenting on someone's appearance like that? I decided then and there that I didn't like Cynthia. One look at Bernie and I could tell he didn't either.
I'll need some things from you.
He said, his voice cool on the way to cold.
Contact information for your ex, Madison's friends, any special people in her life, plus a photo.
Right away.
She said, and left the room. Bernie turned to me and in a low voice got down to business.
Find something?
I went over to the TV table, leaned forward pointer style. Bernie knelt, fished out the pack of marijuana. He hefted it in his hand, slid it back under the table.
Good man.
Pat, pat, and quick scratch between the ears. Cynthia returned, gave Bernie a sheet of paper and a framed photo of a girl with a ponytail. Bernie looked around the room.
Well, then that should do it.
He said,
Except for something with Madison's smell.
Her pillowcase?
Bernie went to the bed, stripped off the pillowcase that looked pink to me, although I'm no judge of color, according to Bernie. I sniffed at it a couple of times, got Madison's smell. Young human female, with hints of honey, cherry, and a kind of sun-colored flower I sometimes saw along roadsides. Bernie folded the pillowcase and sealed it in a plastic bag.
We'll be be in touch.
He said.
But if you hear anything, call right away, day or night.
Thank you. I'm so grateful.
She led us down the hall and opened the door. A girl was coming up the walk, a ponytailed girl with a backpack. Her face was still in the night shadows, but I knew who it was right away from the smell.
Madison!
Said Cynthia. She covered her mouth. One of those things human females did sometimes and human males never.
Oh my God, where have you been?
Under his breath, to no one in particular, Bernie said.
I need a drink.
From back in the house came the voice of Captain Crunch.
Make it a double.
Poem number 1.